Hello everyone, today we are going to discuss about the subject software engineering. In this we are going to learn about software engineering practice and software myths. Myself Divya, working as assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, SRKR Engineering College, Bhimavaram. The objectives of the class are to learn the principles of software engineering practice and to get aware of what are the software myths and to get aware of what are the misconceptions that are there in the software development. Before learning the myths and all, let us discuss what are the general principles which are used in the software engineering practice. David Hooker have given 7 principles, and these principles will help us to establish a mindset for solid software engineering practice. Here are the principles. The principle 1 is the reason it all exists. In our real life, if we are doing something, there will be a reason behind it. Generally, in software engineering also, if a software product is being developed, it is also having some reason behind it. So you have to provide value to the customer and the user depending upon their requirements. Taking their requirements into consideration, then only we are developing the software project. So the reason it all exists is the first principle. If you can't provide the value, then please don't do that. The next principle is keep it simple, stupid. That is, all design should be as simple as possible but not simpler. And here the thing is, keeping simple means it is not to do the things quick and dirty. Even if you want to do simpler things, it takes a lot of work for us and work over multiple iterations to simplify. In general, when you are in the first year, if you are trying to write codes in the initial days when you are learning some C programming or Python programming, you are habituated to write lengthy codes. But when you are having practice after some years, when you want to write the same program, then you will write it in only a few steps. Means you are simplifying the thing or simplifying the problem. So that is called keep it simple, stupid, but not quick and dirty. The next principle is maintain the vision. If you have a vision in your mind, then you have to take steps towards attaining that vision. That is maintaining the vision. So a clear vision is always essential to the success of a software project. Similarly, if you are compromising some architectural vision, then it weakens the system and it will also eventually break even the well-defined systems also. So to maintain a vision, we need some empowered architect who can hold the vision and enforce the compliance to help to ensure a very successful software project. Then the next principle is what you produce, the others will consume. As you are aware of the software development life cycle, that it is always having different phases. So the output of one phase will become the input of the other phase. For example, if you are working in the implementation module, then the code which you are developing will become the input for the testers to debug the code. So that is what you are producing, the others are using it. So when you are developing or when you are doing some work, you should not do for yourself. It should be helpful for the others also. So always specify, design and implement, that knowing someone else have to understand what you are doing. Next one is be open to the future. So here be open to the future means, for example, when we are studying, we are having Orkut, same like the Facebook that days. So that is, nowadays it was totally closed, but it is not there, but Facebook is there. Be open to the future means our ideas will be used by someone else, adding some new features or some decorations to it, and they will develop a new product for the society. So that is be open to the future. It means that you should not design anything for yourself sitting into a corner. You always have to ask what if I do this, and what should be prepared for yourself for answering all the possible questions if you are doing, or if you are creating a system, or if you are solving a problem. It should be a generalized solution, it should not be a specific one. So when you are thinking or when you are doing things like this, it could be very possible to lead that to the reuse of the entire system. So always please do the things that should be helpful to the others, and it should be open to the future. So when you are developing things open to the future, similarly you are planning ahead for the reuse. That is the next principle. So planning ahead for reuse will reduce the cost, and it will also increase the value of the reusable components as well as the system into which you are incorporating the reusable components. It means that nowadays we are using various versions of WhatsApp, or if you are using Windows 10, earlier you are having Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows Vista, and some versions of Windows. Whenever they are developing some new version of some operating system or some product, the software product itself, they won't develop anything from the scratch. What they will do is they will take the existing one, means they are reusing the components which are helpful for them. They will add some new features to it. They will rectify some component, they will rectify the errors, then they will develop the new things. That is planning ahead for reuse. Next one, the last one, is think. What is mean by think? Whenever you are doing something, then you have to think, what happens if I do so? Does it give any value to me? That like you have to think. So you have to think before you act. Here also you should have a clear, complete thought before action. Almost always, it always produces better results. So when you think about something, you are more likely to do it in a correct way, and you also gain some knowledge about how to do it right again if you do it. So these are the 7 general principles which are given by David Hooker. The next one is myths and truth. Myth is some erroneous belief which we are having. In our real life also we will have some many erroneous beliefs, but the truth is different. So in software also you will have myths and the truths. In this example you can see a chameleon. Generally we will say that it will change color depending upon the environment, but the truth is it will change color to reflect its mood. So now let us go into the software myths and truths. Already I told you that the erroneous beliefs about the software and the process that is used to build it. So that is the belief which we are having, but coming to the situation, it is different. So every professional should recognize what is myth and what is truth. If they know that myths and truths, they cannot be misleaded. For this reason, the managers as well as the practitioners should know about the myths and the truths. So coming to the myths and truths in the software, there are management myths, customer myths, and practitioner myths. Management myths deal with the managers who are responsible for maintaining the budgets, and they have to keep the schedules from slipping, and they have to maintain the quality also. So these are the responsibilities of the management. So coming to their myths, the first myth is members acquire all the information. So members acquire all the information means the management will think that the people who are working in the organization, means the members in the organization, they will know all the information containing the procedures, principles and standards. But the truth or the reality is the developers don't have information about all the established standards, because all the standards which were established are outdated, or they are incomplete, or they are unadaptable to the current situations. And there will be some rare chances for the developers to follow all the standards. So this is the myth, and the reality is this one. So for example, also after 1 or 2 years you are going to attend some placement interviews. At that time you don't know about the organization standards, principles and procedures for all the companies. Generally you will write the written test, you will attend to the interviews. Once if you are joining in the company, they will give some training, again you will carry on your work, but you will not focus anything on standards and the principles. That is the truth. And coming to the next myth, management will think that adding more people can reduce the time gap. But the reality is, do you understand the myth here? It is saying that if there is more work and if the time work have to be completed within the time, they think that if we add more people, the work will be completed within the schedule and it won't fall behind the schedule. But the reality is, even they add more manpower also, they will take more time, because as they are new to the work, already half or the 3/4 of the work was already completed. Whenever new workers are coming to do that module, they have to understand it again, they have to learn what has happened already, and then they have to work, and this takes more time. So adding more people cannot reduce the time gap. This is the truth. Coming to the next myth, the management can relax themselves by outsourcing its project. Let me say you one example that when you are coming to the third year, second semester, college people want to give some training regarding some aptitude for you. At that time what they will do is they will call some third party institutions to give the training. So once if they are outsourcing that issue to the third party, the management cannot relax. How can they relax? They have to always keep on monitoring whether the students are learning according to the current trends, to attend a particular company or not, and whether they are utilizing the time properly, whether they are learning some new things. Everything they have to monitor. So the reality is, if an organization is outsourcing its software to a third party, it cannot relieve the management from the duties, because they always keep on monitoring what is happening. So these are the management myths. Coming to the customer myths, customer means the stakeholders or the marketing or the sales departments, or some outside company or a technical group. All these are the customers. So all these will have something in their mind, some erroneous beliefs they will have. Let us go through them. The first one is, software is malleable, as a result of which changes are easily accommodated. It means that customer will think that after taking the product, after taking the delivery of the product, if they want to add some new feature, it is very easy, they will think. But the reality is, the change cannot be accommodated immediately. It will take more time. Already I told you about software configuration management, that is change management. If a change have to be done, that change should be reflected from the requirement phase till the deployment, or till the deployment phase. So accommodating the changes is very difficult after the release of the product. That is the truth. The next myth is, to start coding, a general statement of need is enough. It means that the customers are thinking that if we say a statement vaguely, it is enough to start the implementation. But the truth is, the developers can't read the customer's mind. For example, the teacher is saying you to write a program of pattern. Just the teacher have given a statement for you. He is not saying whether it is a numbers pattern or some stars pattern or anything. So you can't read the teacher's mind. The teacher have to give a detailed description what you should do. It should be given, then only you can start writing the code. Similarly here also, as the developers cannot read the customer's mind, so as they cannot read the customer's mind, they require some detailed description of the requirements to start coding. So that is the truth. The next one is the practitioner's myth. Practitioner means who? The one who is developing is called the practitioner. The developer is the practitioner. So there will be many myths by the practitioners which are fostered by some 50 years of programming culture. So now the first myth is, once the code is delivered, the software can be called complete. Means I have completed my work, I have delivered the work to the customer, so I can relax. But it is not the truth. After delivering the product to the client, then only the 60% of the errors will be erased. So that is the myth and this is the truth. Coming to the next myth, the software success depends on the product's produced quality. So software success does not depend only on the product's quality. It also depends on the software configuration and the documentation, because all of them will also play an important role in the software product success. So product quality is not enough, but the practitioner think it is enough. So it is the myth. It is some erroneous belief. So configuration, documentation, everything is also important. The next one is, the unnecessary documentation is required in software engineering, which further slows down the growth rate of a project. So for example, when you are sitting in the class, not now in the online classes, when you are attending to the classes, the teacher will say you to write some running note. So when the teacher is saying, some students will think that why we have to write, they will provide the materials and we will have the textbooks or we will read online, like that they will think. But when they are studying for some exams or something, but when they got the doubt, they should have some reference to clear the doubts. For that reason, if they write, when the time comes, it will be helpful for them. Similarly here also, the practitioner is thinking that it is unnecessary to document the requirements or the design documents or testing documents and writing comments to the code or developing the user manuals. But the reality is, proper documentation will improve the project's quality and it will result in the reduction of rework. If the customer want a change, so the change have to be impacted on all the documents from the requirements phase to the last phase. So if we have proper documentation, you can say where the change can be made exactly. For that reason, this is the truth. The next myth is, the assessment of software quality can be addressed after the execution of the program. So I have developed the program, it is giving the exact output for me. Then the assessment of the software quality can be addressed. No, that is not the correct thing, because in the software development life cycle, in every phase, the quality have to be measured. If the software requirement specification, which is consisting of all the requirements gathered from the customer or the stakeholder, after developing that SRS, the quality have to be measured, whether they can be met or there are any misconceptions in the requirements or the requirements are ambiguous. So everything have to come. So every phase of the development process, the software quality should be measured by applying some quality assurance. So Assessment of software quality cannot be addressed only with the execution of the program. It will also reside in every phase of the development process. And the last myth is the product which is delivered after the project's completion can be called as a working program. So after delivering the product, the practitioner will think that it is called the working program. So the deliverables of a successful project don't only consist of the working program. It should also contain documentation which can guide the users about how to use the software. So working program is not enough. It should also have the documentation. For this only we have seen the myth, unnecessary documentation. Documentation is always required because working program itself cannot consider as the whole software product. So these are the practitioners' myths. So the things to remember in the class are software engineering practice should be done by using or by following some set of core principles which are given by the David Hooker, as you have learned. And you should also know the software myths which are having in the minds of the managers and the practitioners. Similarly, you will also think why you have to learn this, because when we are becoming a software engineer, or when you are doing some work, then you should explore what are the myths. You have to understand the myths, then you should work in the truth. So this is the reason why you have to learn about the software myths and truths. Thank you.